Thanks very much, Sinead. Now, our gardening slot this morning is all about roses and growing roses. And Pádraig Horgan joins us once again. Good morning
Good
to
morning,
you.
Alan.
How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm great.
And I love roses and I love the smell of them, but not all scented. But we'll come to that in a moment.
Yeah.
First of all, the plants of the week.
Absolutely. Camellias. Camellia japonica. Beautiful plant. It's not dissimilar to a rose, although it flowers at this time of year. And the beauty about camellias is, first of all, they're evergreen, so they retain their foliage all year round. They come into flower from February and flower right
So
through
they're starting to flower now. You see that there.
right
Beautiful.
through till early summer. And you can see already, Alan, how the buds, lots of buds get going.
Lots of them. And that's what to do, isn't it? When you go look at and see how many buds are going to come out, because you'll just realise
there's 20 or 30 buds that come out in that plant. A lovely plant for Mother's Day. If people are thinking in 2 weeks' time it's going to be Mother's Day.
Pink going to be lovely.
Absolutely. So nice for growing in a tub or container. Also great in the garden. Very easy plant to grow.
How much are they roughly?
About 14, 15 euros, 14.99, 15 euros, depending on the size of the plant.
So if the mother likes the garden at all, that's a perfect plant.
And it will always flower at this time of year. February, March, April, early May, that sort of period. It comes into flower every year. Really, really nice plant.
Okay.
But moving on to roses.
Yeah, roses. Now, the one thing that struck me, we were just chatting here before we came on air, and you said, I thought all roses had a fragrance, but they don't.
No, you've lots of different type of roses for different purposes as well. Some like the flower carpet, which is used to cover ground, lovely on banks or slopes if you want to cover an area. And my advice really when planting the likes of flower carpet roses is to put them in groups of 5s or 7s of the one colour, so you create that mass of colour.
Right.
You have other varieties then like Sweet Dream over here, which is ideal in pots and containers. It's a dwarf patio rose, so it'll only grow about 12 to 15 inches in height, come into flower in June and flower right through to November. But lovely in pots or borders, or where you want a short bushy rose, something nice and neat and tidy. And then you can go for taller varieties. So we've got Pretty Polly, which is a lovely scented rose, highly scented. That variety will grow up to 3 feet in height, and again would come into flower from June right through to the end of the summer. A beautiful scented variety.
Now go back even to the red velvet here. I don't even think they look like roses. You were saying that, but there's so many different types. I just have the idea of the traditional rose, that you see.
The traditional red rose. But look at, there's so many different varieties for so many different purposes. But a key thing, Alan, at this time of year, we need to cut roses back. If you've got roses in the garden and you haven't pruned them, now is the time to do it.
Okay, so if you have roses that you've been keeping over the years, you need to prune them back because they don't grow. Oh,
no,
God,
they don't.
No, you're really pruning that.
And you need to do this. You can see on this plant how there's no growth. It hasn't started to grow yet because we haven't cut it back. So you need to be quite severe, and you need to cut them within 4 to 6 inches from ground level.
Wow.
So you can see how these roses were pruned about 4 weeks ago, quite severely, and you can see the new growth coming on them already. So that's important. The other key thing is to feed them, and to feed them with a good rose fertiliser. This is an Irish variety called Sudden Impact.
Right.
Apply it now, so once you prune the roses, you feed, and that's very important, and you apply that once a month. Very, very important with roses because you have to encourage lots of new growth to get the flowers. The other key thing with roses is to give them a treatment of something like Rose Clear, again about every 2 to 3 weeks, to keep the aphids and to keep the diseases off the roses.
Right.
And if you do that, you've got a tremendous amount of colour right through from June to the end of the summer.
So they start coming out in June and then right through the summer.
Right through, and funny enough, roses flowered up to Christmas this year because it was been so mild, such a mild winter. So you're getting anything from 4 to 6 months of colour. But now's the time to plant roses in the garden.
I was going to say that. So if you have roses in your garden and you haven't pruned them back, they should be back to this level.
Pruned,
like
fed,
right back here.
Absolutely.
You've been really
prune them back tightly. That'll encourage lots of new growth.
See, because you think, oh God, that's cutting it way too much. It's not.
No.
We're not going to see a thing. So will this sort of grow roses now?
In 3 weeks' time, it'll look like this.
Wow,
and
really?
by June, it'll be about that height and lots of flower. You can see the amount of buds coming on it. On every shoot you see there, you get a bunch of flowers. But it's important to feed them. That's critical because you're expecting the plant to grow from this up to 2 or 3 feet before
it needs nourishment.
It needs lots of nutrition, lots of feeding. And indeed, when you're planting new roses, use the Seamungus fertiliser. That's important to get the roots going. So if you're planting new roses in the garden, use this particular fertiliser, and then once a month use the Sudden Impact, and that'll really keep them
And are they
tip-top
easy
condition.
to grow, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as you feed them and as long as you use a little bit of the Rose Clear, you'll have tremendous colour right through to the end of the summer. They're so easy to grow. Once you put them into the garden, you're guaranteed colour this year.
And is there a difference? You're saying about the scented ones and the non-scented ones. So is Is there a difference in, or do you treat all of them the same?
You treat them exactly the same. The benefit, obviously, with the centre rose is a beautiful fragrance.
Yeah.
But apart from that, the same care, the same planting conditions, the same feeding, the same little treatment with the rose clear, and you'll have got great colour this summer.
And these are and literally when they are flowering, do you try and prune it back then as well, or do you just leave it?
When they're flowering, the flowering begins to go over. You can deadhead them.
Yes.
So you do know something about gardening. So when the flowers beginning to fade, just cut them back, and that'll encourage new roses again. So maybe in July and August, tidy them up, and you'll encourage new growth and new flowers.
And it'll last longer.
As long as you're feeding the roses. So when you prune them in the summer, you get new growth and new flowers.
These feeds expensive and stuff?
Not really. $9.99 for a tub. And
how long will the tub last?
The tub will last you the summer.
Oh, right.
The summer. You're only using about half a handful to each rose.
Right. So put it in.
Yeah.
So easily done.
Easily done.
And gives you great colour, and if you choose the scented ones, great smell in your garden.
Absolutely. And now is the time to prune them. Now is the time to feed them, and it's a great time to plant roses in the garden. And everything is on the website, gardencentre.ie.
Okay, gardencentre.ie. Borg, thank you very much for that. We've some great cooking after the break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.